Hello, BookTube. I'm Peg, the Book Prize Addict, and welcome to my channel. I thought I was just getting on top of all the book prizes that have been coming out lately and getting them all reported on when last night a new one and a big one came out. And it's the Los Angeles Times Book Prize, which because it's in LA and it's the newspaper, they gave great coverage of it in the newspaper this morning, and also a color picture of the stage when they were announcing it. Now that is Hollywood, of course, so they do everything in a big way there. This prize has 10 different categories in them. I'll be doing the three fiction ones, not all today though, because I'd rather just make short videos and handle a few books and then start on other ones for another one anyway. But the finalists or the winners of this 10 categories of this prize are going to be announced on April 20th at the USC campus there in California. And it's also the start of the LA Times Literary Festival that they have every year. I'd love to go to that some year. I don't know, do any of you all out there live in California and might be attending that? So anyway, okay, this prize that I'm going to do today is for the first book award, and it's called the Art Seidenbaum Award for First Fiction. It's named after an LA Times writer and editor who died in 1990, but he was supposedly a very wry observer of the LA cultural and literary scene. So it might be interesting to read some of his backstories there. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to get into the five first, what do they call them? First fiction by these writers, and you'll be surprised if you've been following book prizes at all. These have been heard of before on this channel and reviewed by other booktubers who are into the latest fiction. So anyway, we'll just go through them quickly. First, we have The Idiot by Elif Batuman. She is a teacher now at Stanford University, and this was listed in the New York Times Notable Books of 17, and GQ called it the funniest book he'd ever read, the critic in that said. It deals with a young woman who is the daughter of Turkish immigrants who gets into Harvard, and this is in 1995 when email was just starting, so evidently she gets into this email relationship with a young man, and ends up going to Europe for the summer and gets into all kind of events, I guess. Another critic called this the portrait of an artist as a young woman. She does decide during this time that she will become a writer. Okay, next we have Her Body and Other Parties. This has been on several other lists, and the most famous one being the National Book Award on their finalist list. This is also short stories, and I've yet to read it. I actually have a copy, so this time I'm really going to read it, and I think it's meaningful when you hear where her other short stories have been, where the anthologies they've been in. And incidentally, Carmen Machado does have an MFA from the famous Iowa Writers Workshop. Okay, she has had stories in the Best American Science Fiction and Fantasy, the Best Horror of the Year, the year's Best Weird Fiction, Best Women's Erotica, and as I said, she was a finalist for the National Book Award. This supposedly deals with some horrific violence and also some exquisite sentiment. Now, one of my most trusted book reviewers here on BookTube, Curtis from Curtis Books and Films, said that he wasn't so sure at first, but I believe he said that it was really worth the time once he got into it, and he may have read it more than once, but I always listen when Curtis either likes or doesn't like something. Okay, next we have Goodbye Vitamin. Oh, it's blinking. That's weird. This was a best book of the year by NPR, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the Independent, and it deals with a 30-year-old woman who, that is strange the way that, I have a ceiling fan. I live in a hot place. Oh, now it's going on to other stuff. This is becoming a disaster. All right, what were we on? Goodbye Vitamin. Goodbye Vitamin, okay. Anyway, this deals with a 30-year-old woman who her life is kind of in a mess, and she goes home to live with her parents. Her father is suffering from dementia, and her mother seems to be not all that together in the first place, and it's evidently is somewhat humorous, but deals with her life there. Okay, next we have My Absolute Darling by Gabriel Talent. I've reviewed this before, and it's been on several lists. It was a notable best book of the year with the New York Times, Washington Post, and NPR. This deals with a 14-year-old girl named Turtle who lives with her father in a very isolated place. And quite honestly, it comes with a trigger warning. It does have some both emotional and physical and sexual abuse in it. I had a little trouble getting through it, that part of it, and I've heard from other booktubers that did, but Sean the Book Maniac gave an excellent review of this, and he talked about, he looks at the writing and the way it's done, and he talked about the nature writing in this and the way nature was portrayed, and really gave me the incentive. I'm going to read this again, and I know where the abuse places are. I'll just skip those and really take a look at the nature writing that he talks about. Okay, and last we have Sour Heart. Okay, this by Jenny Zhang was a best book of the year by the New Yorker, NPR, Guardian, and it has 7 stories in it, and they're all the experience of Chinese American girls growing up in New York City. Now, I like to remember what other booktubers have said about it, and I think that the famous Steve Donahue, now that he reads all the new stuff, I'd like for him to comment on all of these, which he likes, but which one he likes, but I think he didn't like this one so much, if I remember right. So, but I'm amazed that now he's always read everything, and now he's read all the new stuff too. So anyway, I've been able to get all these at the library, so I plan to spend the next few days either rereading or reading for the first time these, so I will have a valid opinion of what should win. Okay, I'll be back soon with the others on this prize. Okay, bye.